Hi everyone. Today we'll be going through a few steps for supplier registration. Essentially, supplier registration is the part where a user from the buyer side invites a supplier to register with the Ariba network to do business with them. So this is the login page of SAP Ariba for the suppliers. It's a supplier login. Now I've already invited a supplier, and that supplier will go through the registration. I'll be going through that registration process. So this is the email that a supplier would receive when they're invited for the supplier registration. So this can be directly opened in the browser. So I will just put this link and open it. Now, since I'm a first time supplier, I have never logged into SAP Ariba. Therefore, it's giving me an option to sign up, or if I already have an account, it'll ask me to log in. So since I'm a first time supplier who's going to be working with Ariba, I'm going to be selecting the option to sign up. Now we're at the sign up page. Here, everywhere, wherever there are indicative fields which are mandatory, have to be filled out by the suppliers, which is by you, so that the company can get all the information, the buyer's company can get all the information for the Ariba network. Now we'll fill in the details. I'm just going to provide a postal address as well. Moving forward, we need to add the user account information. So this is where the supplier has to provide a contact detail. Here I've just given Adam Wilkins, and here there's my email address which has been provided to the buyer on which I had received this invitation. So here I can either use my email address as a username, or I could set a username for myself. Here I create a password for my login. Here I select my preferential language. All the email orders should be sent to this particular email ID. So all of these details are quite important. So they need to be filled out quite carefully. All the information about everything that's there in these spaces is given on the side. Here it says the customers may need to send orders through the Ariba network. To send multiple orders to multiple contacts in your organization, create a distribution list and enter the email address here. So this email address is where all the orders for the suppliers will be sent from the Ariba network. A little more about the business. This information says the products and the services which the supplier provides. So let's imagine I provide sulfuric acid. Okay, so sulfuric acid was not listed. I'll just provide a listed item, which is urea formaldehyde. Now I enter the data for the ship to information as to which countries do I ship to. So here I can just go to add once I put in something, or I can just go to browse. Here I'll be able to select the countries that I can service. So here I'll just put in Southeast Asia and probably so select a particular region where the business provides services. So I can just add Bangladesh here, since the client is Bangladesh for this particular vendor. Here I can add my tax details, my tax identification, a VAT pin if required. These aren't necessary fields, but then as much as information that we can fill, it's better. This is a DUNS number. Now here there are terms and conditions which need to be gone through. So once the supplier goes through these terms and conditions, they can say that they've read it and that they've gone through the SAP Ariba privacy statement, and go ahead and create the account and continue. Yes, so I have not provided a valid DUNS number, so that's why it's showing me an error. Since it's not a mandatory field, I'm not going to provide it, and we will move on. Now once registered with the Ariba network, now I have to fill in the supplier registration questionnaire. This supplier registration questionnaire essentially takes in all the data that I will provide to the vendor, and then it sends it into the Ariba network, and thereby creating my company's profile as a supplier for KAFCO. So the first things first, general company information. Here we put in the supplier information, the company name, which has already been provided. So this is the company name which is used and provided by the buyer at the time of the invitation. Next, I need to select a region for the company from the list. So I'll select Germany, since that's the region that I've provided. So we go in, we find Europe, and then we select Germany. This can even be searched. So I've added Germany. Here I can attach a company's portfolio or profile for the buyer's requirements as to their specifications, as to my catalog of products. It could be anything. So the company profile needs to be added here. I can just attach a particular file. It'll allow me to upload a file here. Now that I've uploaded the company profile, we move on. Here I need to add my address. So this is the supplier's address which is provided. So imagine, let's put in a particular address. So there are a lot of details which can be filled here. Now let's just give a postal address. Here I need to put in the region. Now there is an extended address which is provided. Here I can add my time zone, tax jurisdictions, PO box, all other details such as related to PO box. Next we come to the communication details. Here I need to enter the communication details as to how a supplier can be gotten into touch with. If a buyer needs to get in touch with the supplier, here I'll put in my phone number. The primary email ID, so I'm going to put in the primary email ID to which the communication takes place. I've already provided an email ID for all the communications where the orders will be provided, but this is another email ID for general communication for the buyer. I will put in another secondary email address. I'll put in a mobile number. All of these details have to be provided with a lot of due diligence because they form the company profile in the Ariba network. A thing that I forgot to mention earlier is that this particular supplier registration questionnaire is active for a total of 30 days before the deadline, which is that if I've been invited by the buyer, which is KAFCO, to fill out a supplier registration, then it gives me 30 days time to actually fill it out and provide all my details and create details for my supplier. Now I put in the fax details, fax number. Now my primary contact details that I had provided was the name, which is Adam Wilkins. I'm not going to change that. Provide my phone number again. A fax number. This is for that particular person who is in primary contact with the business, which is the buyer. My email ID again. All these people can be different people, whoever's details are being provided, but that one particular email ID that we had provided earlier will be sacrosanct, and all the data and the communication will be sent to that particular email ID. Here I'll add my department. Now a person can also add secondary contact details. This is from the supplier side. So this will just allow the buyer to communicate with multiple people if required. Their mobile number, a fax number, their email ID, their department, their function. Now legal details of the company have to be filled out. So last year's turnover has to be mentioned within the given options. So say $1 to $10 million. Total number of employees, age of the company, organization type, private limited. Any of these options can be selected. Number of commercially skilled laborers or employees, technically skilled employees. Now go into the nature of the company, which could be a manufacturer or a trader. Let's say manufacturer. Now it asks me for a quality HSE compliance certificate. Here I can either provide a quality HSE compliance certificate, and if I do not have an HSE compliance certificate, so if I do have one, it'll ask me to give me their quality and HSE certificate number. If I don't, then it'll ask me if I can agree to the KAFCO quality and HSE policies. I'll say yes. Do I agree to the KAFCO confidentiality agreement? Yes. The order currency, which is preferred by me, which is the supplier's order currency. Here there's a list of currencies which is provided. Let's say I take orders in USD, which is United States dollars. Name of enlisted Chamber of Commerce, this can be provided, and other bin details can be provided. Now it asks me for my bank details, which is a supplier bank details. Here I can say add my bank details. This screen will allow me to add bank details. So say I add my bank name, where my bank branch is, bank branch name, the address, which city is it in, now here I can provide a routing number for my bank. Now the account holder name, which is Aaron Wilkins. I'll provide that name. The account number, the bank country. Here again I can go into regions and select my bank country details. Says I select Germany. Now I provide a bank ID. This bank ID should be confirmed with the buyer because this is maintained in their system, in the Ariba network, and has to be checked with, therefore allowing me to put in an accurate bank ID. Now I've added my bank details. The first bank detail I have added. It can ask me to add more bank details if required. As of yet I will just add one bank detail and I don't require a second one. Thereby, once I've added my bank details, I can go up, press OK, and it'll take me back to the supplier registration form. Here I've added one bank detail, so it says one right here because I've added one. Now it'll ask me to attach the check leaf of the bank that I've uploaded. So multiple check leaves can be uploaded if multiple banks have been added. So here I'll attach a file. It'll allow me to go into my system and select a file for attachment. So say I select a particular file, press OK, it should get added as a bank check. Now once I filled out all my details, we'll just go through all the details once as to what all we filled. Scroll up all the way. Here I've added my company name. This company name is editable, so probably I could add private limited. I selected the region of my company, then I selected a company profile, added all the address details like building, room, floor, street, house number, other street details. The postal code, the city, the country, the region in that country, the extended address, these involve all the PO box details. Now we come to the communication bit. Here we add my phone number, the primary email ID, secondary email, the mobile number, the fax number. Now we go to the contact person information. Here we add the primary contact details, the last name, the first name, the phone number which they can connect to, the email ID, the department. Now we add a secondary person, wherein the second person in the supplier side can be a contact for KAFCO. Once we've added these details, we go to the company's legal details, wherein we fill in the turnover, the number of employees, the age of the company, the number of commercially and technically skilled workers or employees, the nature of the company, the quality HSE certification and the policies, the agreement to the KAFCO confidentiality agreement, the order currency, the name of the enlisted chamber of commerce if required, the bin number. Then we move on to the bank details, which has been added. Multiple bank details can be added, and then the check leaves of each bank that we've added. Once we're done with this, we can either save the draft, which is that I save this document in the middle if I have any queries. Now I can compose a message. Let's say, okay, I'll save the draft in the middle once. We've saved it, we have not submitted it as of yet. Now say I have some queries in filling out the details. I can easily compose a message to the buyer, say HSE quality certificate expired under renewal. Now here I can even provide attachments. The subject can be the query that I have, which I need to send to the buyer. If I want to provide any attachments, right now I do not want to, therefore I go back to the message. Put this in the subject and send it to the buyer. So this data or information is now sent to the buyer, so they will provide clarifications and send me a message in response. Say I don't have any doubts and that I've filled this supplier registration form diligently, then I can submit the entire response. Now I have received an error. It says the value does not match the required validation, that is account number. So I go to my bank details and edit my account number, say OK, and submit my response again, confirm submission. Now I have already responded, so therefore I have submitted the questionnaire. It will give me the detail that you have submitted the response to the questionnaire, and then this event is closed. So in case once I've submitted this questionnaire and I have any doubts or I have any issues with the submission, I can go into compose message and communicate with the buyer through the Ariba network, and then they can address my queries. Once I've sent this supplier registration questionnaire, I cannot make any changes in this particular questionnaire, and these will be the way the responses cannot be edited. So thank you for the session.